Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Wednesday, March 17th, 2021, St. Patrick's Day. Today we will be going over yesterday's NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball Spring Training results and looking ahead to today's games in each sport. We will preview and predict the two NIT games that will be played tonight. NFL free agency, the latest on that. Other news and notes. Masked Singer, episode 2 of season 5 tonight. We'll talk about that. And my best bet of the day. All right, we're going to start with the NBA. We will go over the games from yesterday. That was a nice slate, and then look ahead to a busy slate for tonight. Jazz over the Celtics 117-109 on TNT. The Jazz 29-10, Boston 2019. Donovan Mitchell at 21 to lead the Jazz and 5 assists. Jason Tatum at 29 points for Boston. Heat over the Cavs 113-98. The Heat are 22-18. Cleveland 14-25. Jimmy Butler at 28 points, 12 boards. Colin Sexton at 21 for the Cavaliers. 76ers over the Knicks 99-96. 76ers with a big fourth quarter. Come from behind to beat the Knicks. Six in a row for Philly. They're 28-12. New York 20-21. Tobias Harris had 30 points for Philly, and Julius Randle 19 points, 15 boards, and 8 assists for New York. Bulls over the Thunder 123-102. The Bulls 18-20. The Thunder 17-23. Zach LaVine had 40 for the Bulls. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 21 for the Thunder. Hawks over the Rockets 119-107. The Hawks 20-20. The Rockets 11-27. Danilo Gallinari had 29 for Atlanta. Victor Oladipo 34 for Houston. Blazers over the Pelicans 125-124. Portland 23-16. New Orleans 17-23. Damian Lillard had 50 points, 6 boards, and 10 assists. Unreal game for Dame. And that is on 13 of 20 field goals and 6 3-pointers. Meanwhile, for the Pelicans, Brandon Ingram had 30. Lakers over the Timberwolves 137-121, so best bet comes through. Lakers 27-13, Minnesota 9-31. LeBron had 25, 12, and 12. Karl Towns had 29-6 for Minnesota. 99 triple-doubles now for the best player in basketball in his career, and that is LeBron James. And best bet comes through again. All right, tonight's games, big window. 7 o'clock tonight, you have the Raptors and the Pistons. The Raptors are getting some guys back tonight, which is good. I have them projected as a 9.5-point underdog, or a favorite, my bad. Total 221.5. And FanDuel has this game at Toronto by 3. We don't have a total yet. But anyway, I'm betting on the Raptors. That is ridiculous of a number. And that's my number even without OG Anunoby. Nets Pacers at 7 o'clock. I'm surprised this is not the ESPN game, but there's another big game on too, which is why it's not. My numbers are Brooklyn 9.5, total 230.5, Meanwhile, it's 3.5 and 220 or 233. I'm laying it with the Nets. I know Kevin Durant's still out. The juice is heavy on them at minus 115, so I'm going to lay it with the Nets. The ESPN game is Bucks 76ers. I'm at Pick'em in 229. Meanwhile, it's Bucks 6, total 235. No Joel Embiid is why the line is that high. I'm taking the Sixers plus the points. That is way too many points, and I also like the under. But I think Philly can cover against Milwaukee. I really do. But podcast, they're going to go under. No Embiid equals under. I feel better about the under. Kings Wizards, I'm at Washington 1.5, total 235. And it's 3 and 245.5. I'm taking the under. Kings unders have been a trend of late. I won best bet from Monday by 1.5 points. And I think that 245.5 is ridiculously high. 8 o'clock Celtics Cavs. I'm at Boston 10, total 219. Well, it's 9 and we don't have a total out yet. If the total is 221 or higher, I'm betting the under. And if it's 217 or lower, I'm betting the over. I'm not touching the side. Spurs, Bulls. I'm at Spurs 2, total 224.5. Meanwhile, it's Bulls by 1. I don't have a total yet. I'm going to take San Antonio plus the 1 and minus 102 straight up. Warriors, Rockets. I'm at Golden State 11.5, total 224. Meanwhile, it is 12 and I don't have a total out yet. If the total is anything 226 or higher, I'm betting the under. And if it's 222 or lower, I'm betting the over. 9 o'clock Heat, Grizzlies. I'm at Heat 5.5, total 218.5. Meanwhile, it's Heat 2, total 220. I'm laying it with the Heat. That's low. Bam, I think, will play. So I'm going to lay the 2 at Miami at minus 114 against Memphis. The Nuggets host the Hornets. I'm at Denver 9.5, total 225.5. Meanwhile, it's 6.5 and 229.5. Tough one between the under and Denver. I am going to go with the under. I don't really feel good about it. Denver's defense isn't that terrible. Charlotte went under in their last game by 1.5. I think that this could go under against, under 229.5. Last but not least, 9:30 ESPN, Clippers, Mavs. I'm at Clippers 5, total 224. Meanwhile, it's Clippers 2.5, total 226.5. I'm laying the 2.5 with the Clippers. It looks like that Kawhi and Paul George are both good to go, because if they're both out, Dallas probably would be favorites, and I would project Dallas as a favorite if both were out, but if one of them played and the other didn't, the Clippers, I think, would still be favored, according to my metrics. So I'm going to lay the 2.5 with the Clippers against Dallas for tonight. NHL time, we will go over the games from last night and look ahead to tonight's window. Devils over the Sabres 3-2. The Devils win their first home game in a long time. Hand Buffalo their 12th straight loss. Devils 9-13-4. Buffalo 6-18-4. Number 3 started the game at 33 saves on 35 shots. Mackenzie Blackwood, the number 2, started the game with an assist. Jane Kokkonen, and the number 1 started the game with the goal of Miles Wood. Capitals over the Islanders 3-1. The Capitals 19-6-4. The Isles 19-7-4. The number 3 started the game with 21 saves on 22 shots. Ilya Samsonov, the number 2, started the game with the goal and assist. Nick Backstrom, the number 1, started the game with the goal and assist, and moves into 6th place on the NHL's career goal list. Alexander Ovechkin. Bruins over the Penguins 2-1 as the Bruins end the Penguins' 6-game winning streak. Boston 15-8-4. Pittsburgh 18-10-1. The number 3 started the game with 31 saves on 33 shots. Casey DeSmith, the number 2, started the game with the goal for Boston. Trent Frederick, and the number 1 started the game, his first career start with 34 saves on 35 shots. Daniel Vladar. Red Wings over the Hurricanes 4-2. That's a surprise. Detroit 9-17-4. Carolina 27-1. The number 3 started the game with the goal and 2 assists. Philip Hronik, the number 2, started the game with 35 saves on 37 shots. Jonathan Bernier, and the number 1 started the game with 2 goals. Adam Earn. Wild over the Coyotes 3-0. The Wild 18-8-1. Arizona 12-13-4. The number 3 started the game, didn't have a point, but just played well. Ian Cole, the number 2, started the game with the goal. Jared Spurgeon, number 1, started the game with 31 saves on 31 shots. Capo Kakinen. Lightning over the Stars 4-3 in a shootout. Lightning 26-2. Dallas 9-7. The number 3 started the game with 33 saves on 36 shots. Jake Ottinger, the number 2, started the game with an assist. Victor Hedman, the number 1, started the game with a goal and assist. Braden Point. Avs over the Ducks 8-4. The Ducks dropped to 8-16-6. The Avs 7-8-2. I had the over in this game. The Avs did it by themselves, as a grand total of 8 goals, and they scored half of them in the third period. So I think this was a 4-4 game going into the third. Was crazy. Brandon Saad, Sam Girard, Nate McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, Nazem Kadri, Alexander Burakovsky all scored for the Avs. Adam Henrique scored for Anaheim. All right, now looking ahead to tonight's small window. 7 o'clock, you have the Canucks and the Senators. Vancouver is -154. Ottawa's +130. Over under 6.5. Overs -105. Unders -115. Vancouver -1.5 is +158. Ottawa +1.5 is -192. I'm going to go over. These two teams have been scoring a little bit better. Ottawa's been scoring a lot better. So I'm going to go over 6.5 for Vancouver, Ottawa. 7:30 NBCSN, the Flyers and the Rangers. The Flyers are -142. The Rangers are +120. Over under 6.5. Over +104. The unders -128. Flyers -1.5 is +172. Rangers +1.5 is -205. I'm going to go with the over again. And that will probably be Alexander Georgiev for the Rangers. Obviously, Carter Hart for the Flyers. This was a 5-4 Philly win last time, so why can't it be 4-3 again, or 5-4, 5-3? So I'm going to go over 6.5 at +104. 9 o'clock, the Canadiens and the Jets. Montreal -120, the Jets +102, over under 5.5, overs -130, unders +106. Montreal -1.5 is +205. Jets +1.5 is -255. Instead of the Jets as a home dog, I'm going to go with the under 5.5 at +106. Connor Hellebuck and Carey Price in net probably. I could see this being a 3-2 game. 10 o'clock NBCSN, the Oilers and the Flames. The Flames are -130. The Oilers are +110. Over under 6.5. Overs even money. Unders -122. Edmonton +1.5 is -240. Calgary -1.5 is +195. I'm going to go Calgary in regulation at +120. Calgary, I think, has been on a nice little roll here lately, so I'm giving Calgary in regulation at +120. The Sharks and the Golden Knights. The Golden Knights are -260. The Sharks are +215. Over under 6.5. Overs +108. Unders -132. Sharks +1.5 is -126. Golden Knights -1.5 is +105. I'm going to go over 6.5 at +108. I think that both of these teams are scoring goals left and right of late. And I just like the over at plus money here. And last but not least, the Blues and the Kings. The Blues are -136. The Kings are +118. Over under 5.5. Overs -114. The unders -106. Blues -1.5 is +172. Kings +1.5 is -205. I'm going to go with the under again. Jordan Binghamton, Jonathan Quick. Both of these teams, I think, are playing solid defense and solid behind the net. So give me under 5.5 at -106. Now I'm going to do MLB Spring Training from yesterday and look ahead to the games for today. Yanks over the Tigers 7-4. That's, I believe, 7 straight spring wins for the Yankees. Eduardo Nunez homered for Detroit. Renato Nunez. Adam Jones homered for Detroit. Clint Frazier and Mike Tauchman homered for the Yankees. Red Sox over the Braves 5-3. Oh, and by the way, Garrett Cole got the win in the Yankee game. Michael Fulmer the loss. I missed that. Red Sox over the Braves 5-3. Matt Andrees to win for Boston. Notable the homer in this game, Marcell Ozuna for Atlanta. The lone runs scored by the Braves' regular offense. Rays over the Orioles 7-1-7. Ryan Yarbrough to win for Tampa Bay. Mike Zunino homer for Tampa Bay as well. Pirates over the Twins 4-2. Chad Cole to win, Jose Barrios the loss. Blue Jays over the Phillies 14-5. Tanner Roark to win, Aaron Nola the loss. Blue Jays offense looking good this spring. Marcus Semien homered in this game. Mets over the Astros 8-3. Jacob deGrom with the win. Peter Alonso, Dominic Smith, and Francisco Lindor homered in this game for the Mets. Brewers over the Dodgers 7-2. Josh Lindblom the win. Clayton Kershaw the loss. Colton Wong homered for Milwaukee. And so did Luis Urias. Two guys that have to be good for them in order for them to have good success this season. White Sox over the Padres 4-3. Nothing really special happened in that game. Angels over the Indians 17-8. Griffin Canning the win. Shane Bieber the loss. Shohei Ohtani continued his great spring. He hit another home run. Diamondbacks over the A's 12-3. Madison Bumgarner the win. Jesus Luzardo the loss. Taylor Clark the save. Home runs in this game. Ketel Marte, Jed Lowry, Chad Pinder, Asdrubal Cabrera. That's really it. Marlins over the Nationals 4-3. Taylor Rogers win. Patrick Corbin the loss, and getting the save was Paul Campbell. Adam Duvall homered in this game for the Marlins, and Victor Robles and Josh Bell homered in this game for Washington. Rockies over the Reds 11-7. Getting the win for Colorado is Chichi Gonzalez. The loss, Wade Miley. Tyler Naquin homered in this game for the Reds. Mariners over the Royals 13-0. Justice Sheffield the win. Brad Keller the loss. Justice Sheffield, by the way, a keeper for Seattle. They won that trade with the Yankees, getting him in that deal. Paxton's back with the Mariners, too. It makes it the cherry on top. Tom Murphy homered for the Mariners. And also homering for Seattle was Ty France. And the Rangers over the Giants 10-6. Evan Longoria homered twice in this game. Nick Solak homered. Hit a grand slam, by the way, Nick Solak for Texas. And Brandon Crawford homered for San Francisco as well. All right, today's games: Tigers, Phillies, Twins, Red Sox, Mets, Marlins, Rays, Pirates, Yankees, Blue Jays, 4 o'clock, Royals, Athletics, Dodgers, White Sox, Giants, Rockies, 6 o'clock, Braves, Orioles, Cardinals, Astros, 9 o'clock, Diamondbacks, Rangers, Indians, Reds, Padres, Cubs, and 9:30, the Angels and the Mariners. Now we will move on to the NIT picks for tonight. 2 games only. The first one of 2 tonight. 7 o'clock ESPN 2. 3-seeded Toledo against 2-seeded Richmond. I'm at Toledo 3.5, total 149.5. Meanwhile, they have it. I don't see it here. Oh, here we go. They're just having a weird order. Toledo 3 in total, 153. The total's way too high. I'm taking the under. 153 between Toledo and Richmond. And 9 o'clock tonight, 3-2 matchup, Western Kentucky and St. Mary's on ESPN 2. I'm at Western by 3, total 133.5. Meanwhile, it's St. Mary's 2, total 125. I'm taking the over. I like Western Kentucky getting the 2 and plus 110 straight up, but I like the over 125 way much better. Western Kentucky's a better offensive team than that number. I know this number is telling you that it's this low because of the 2 teams' defenses, but Western Kentucky can flat out score. So I'm going to say over 125, and I think this game will finish into potentially the mid-130s. All right, so there you have it for the NIT for tonight. We'll obviously preview and predict tomorrow's games as well as the first four. Now I'll move on to NFL free agency, NHL free agency. What am I fast forwarding to the summer? I wish. It's still winter though, which sucks. But NFL free agency, the Patriots do it again. They sign Hunter Henry to a 3-year deal worth $37.5 million. So New England lands the top two tight ends of free agency in Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. And now these are easily the best two tight ends they've had since Gronk and Aaron Hernandez in the beginning of last decade. So they're going back to the elite two tight end offense. And they signed some okay receivers, nothing special. Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar. But it's okay if they sign subpar guys. They still got Julian Edelman. And when he's healthy, he's a number one receiver. And I think that he's become underrated because of the quarterback downgrade. So the Patriots give out a ton of money to another solid tight end in Hunter Henry. And that is a tremendous loss for the Chargers offense. 2 Raider contracts coming out now. John Brown signed with the Raiders, the wide receiver, and linebacker Nicholas Morrow, 1 year, $5 million, 4.5 fully guaranteed. So 2 nice signings for the Las Vegas Raiders. John Brown is one of the more underrated wideouts in the league. He was a big part of that Buffalo offense. And now with him gone, Buffalo has a hole at... Actually, no. Never mind. They signed Emmanuel Sanders. So, they agreed to a 1-year deal. So, that's an upgrade. Emmanuel Sanders is better than John Brown, but John Brown is just a great fit in that offense. I think Sanders would work too. He'd be a good number 2 for them. So the Saints are eyeing Richard Sherman. We'll see if that works out. The Bears signed Andy Dalton, 1 year, $10 million. That all but tells you that they could not land Russell Wilson. Adam Schefter said that Seattle is not trading Russ at this time. So Seattle better go out and make good moves in the offseason to keep making Russ wanting to stay there. But anyway, Andy Dalton is a little bit better than Mitchell Trubisky. He at least is a veteran that is smart, but there's no upside to Andy Dalton. So what the Bears signed up here for is for themselves to go like 8-8 yet again, and for Ryan Pace and Adam Gase to lose their jobs. That's all they pretty much signed up for here. No disrespect to Andy Dalton, but the Bears had to go big fish hunting, and they land somebody who's a backup at this stage of his career to be their starter. Unless if they end up getting Deshaun, which I doubt. And speaking of Deshaun, I think Houston finally has realized that they have to trade Deshaun. Tyrod Taylor, 1-year deal up to $12.5 million. This all that tells you that they are trading Deshaun Watson. It's a matter of when, not if. Tyrod Taylor will probably be their starting quarterback, and will have competition with Tua Tagovailoa, assuming that they get him in a possible deal with Miami, or a rookie, perhaps. So, Tyrod Taylor to Houston. Zach Ertz has been given permission to seek a trade. Several teams have been engaged. I think that the Chargers should absolutely be in on Zach Ertz. he's somebody that would really be a nice target for Justin Herbert after losing Hunter Henry. So I think that would be a good destination. I think the Patriots would have been in play, but they signed those 2 tight ends. There's some other teams I could think of for Zach Ertz. Maybe the Bengals, they can use an upgraded tight end. There's some other teams. Maybe the Vikings to replace Kyle Rudolph, but I think that they're all in on Irv Smith Jr. So, should be interesting to see where Ertz lands. The Rams finalized a trade that sent Michael Brockers to the Lions. So Brockers to Detroit. That's very interesting. I think that Brockers has been a huge part of the Rams' success over the last couple of years, and to me, they just couldn't afford Brockers. They signed Leonard Floyd to that big deal, and they have a bunch of their big names locked up to big deals like Matt Stafford, Aaron Donald, and obviously Floyd, who they just signed to the big deal. And this morning it was announced that Trent Williams, 6 years, $138 million deal to remain with the San Francisco 49ers. That is as big time can get. They had to retain him, San Francisco. And they should be really, really happy that they landed him, even though there's a lot of money for a tackle. But Williams deserves it. And Williams was begging for that money. There's a reason why he wanted out of Washington, because Washington was never paying him that. And the 49ers break the bank and sign Williams. So now they're in a good, interesting cap situation. Him and Garoppolo. They're eventually going to have to pay Nick Bosa down the road. So they're in a tough spot financially now with this deal. The Giants signed former Bengal John Ross, 1 year, $2.5 million deal. Speedy receiver that really never lived up to potential in Cincinnati. Maybe change of scenery will help him in New York. And the Giants also signed Leonard Williams, 3 years, $63 million, $43 million guaranteed. They had to get this done. They gave up a lot to get him last year or 2 years ago with the Jets. And he gets the money. And he's somebody that really had a breakthrough year last year at the Giants, 11 sacks. And they better hope that he doesn't turn into Muhammad Wilkerson on them. And I'm using that as a Jets comparison because the Jets paid Muhammad Wilkerson and he turned into a dog. And the Giants better not see that from Leonard Williams or else they're in big-time trouble, which I doubt because Joe Judge is a darn good coach and he'll make sure that it doesn't happen for them. Deshaun Watson, he was in the news. We'll talk about the football-related one in this segment because it's free agency segment. The 49ers and the Broncos are his top picks for where he wants to play. And that makes sense because those two teams are teams that are Deshaun Watson away, especially the 49ers, from becoming a Super Bowl contender. Denver, I think, would be instantly the second best team in that division, even over the Chargers. And if he goes to Denver, that becomes easily the best division in the league with the Chiefs, Denver, and the Chargers. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does. And Miami should be in play too, quite frankly, because Miami, nice weather, good assets, always willing to spend. And they have a good coach in Brian Flores. So I'm interested to see if Miami comes back into play for this. Now we're going to do other news and notes. This next note has to do with Deshaun Watson, and it's not great. As Deshaun Watson released a statement on sexual assault allegations in a lawsuit filed against him. This kind of came out of nowhere, and Deshaun announced it himself with the statement. As a result of a social media post by a publicity-seeking plaintiff's lawyer, I recently became aware of a lawsuit that has apparently been filed against me. I have not yet seen this complaint, but I know this. I have never treated any woman with anything other than the utmost respect. This plaintiff's lawyer claims that this isn't about money, but before filing suit, he made a baseless six-figure settlement demand, which I quickly rejected. Unlike him, this isn't about money for me. It's about clearing my name, and I look forward to doing that. Very well written by Deshaun. I feel bad for him because he's dealing with all the trade stuff. He obviously wants out of Houston. And now this. I personally think that Watson's telling the truth here. I still think that this could be a silly Texans fan potentially mad that Deshaun wants out because people do this kind of stuff. This kind of reminds me of Kristaps Porzingis after he was traded from the Knicks, and there's that sexual allegations thing that he was dealing with. But we never heard anything much from it, and everyone said that the Knicks knew about this and whatnot, but maybe that really happened, but you never know. Maybe it's just a Texans fan being upset and taking it out on Deshaun, or maybe it's not, which I don't think it's that scenario I just played out, but maybe Deshaun's being mistaken for somebody else. But yeah, you never know. Once more comes out, we can get a better idea about this. And I think, like I said, very well written by Deshaun, and I think that he will move on from this and accept the trade to whomever he lands to. This morning, the Buffalo Sabres have fired Ralph Cougar as they move on from its head coach. 6-18-4 on the year, 12 straight losses, as we talked about on the podcast. Think that they were 6-4. 6-4. They lost 12 straight games. Like, who loses 12 straight games? Some of them might have been in overtime in a shootout, so maybe they weren't 6-4, but that's crazy that they lost 12 straight games. But Ralph Cougar, bad job as he gets the axe. And now does Buffalo hire John Tortorella? Do they hire a big name that's sitting there waiting to get back in the league, like a Gerard Gallant? It's going to be interesting. And Elliot Friedman had said that Don Granato will be the intern coach. So we'll see how Granato does, and if he has some success, maybe he gets the intern tag removed. You never know. But I doubt it. So I think that the Sabres are going to go big name hunting for their next head coach. LeBron James buys a part of the Boston Red Sox as he became a Fenway Sports Group partner. That is really interesting. So LeBron involved in baseball. That's pretty cool. You have other athletes among ownership in sports as well. Aaron Rodgers owns part of the Bucks. So it's cool to see more athletes get involved with other teams. And I'm interested if you'll see LeBron at Fenway over the summer once fans are allowed back in the stands there, which I think that they're going to have fans. The Celtics are going to have fans this month, apparently. So I would expect the Red Sox to have fans in the building. So it's going to be fun to see LeBron involved. And the other subplot is that LeBron and A-Rod are kind of rivals here. Now, they're friends, like, in life, but now they're going to be rivals because LeBron's a part owner of the Red Sox and A-Rod works for the Yankees organization. And speaking of A-Rod, I forgot to talk about this in my news and notes the other day. Him and J-Lo are no longer together. Or we think they're no longer together. There are rumors about A-Rod and J-Lo splitting up and A-Rod cheating on J-Lo for a reality star that is from Southern Charm, Madison LaCroix. And then a couple days later, A-Rod came out and said that the rumors about him and Jennifer splitting up are not true. But he didn't say anything about the engagement still being on. So once more comes out, we'll talk about that on the show. Sister Jean is going to Indy. Loyola's 101-year-old super fan will make the trip to watch the Ramblers in the tournament. That is great to see Sister Jean healthy and strong and watching her team play in the big dance. Kiona Jeter to enter the WNBA draft. The Towson star declares for the draft since 3 years old that she dreamt about going to the big leagues. So, good for Kiona Jeter, who's one of the more underrated players in all of women's college basketball. The Heat and the Thunder in trade talks for Trevor Ariza, and OKC is interested in sending Trevor Ariza to Miami in exchange for a second-round pick, and that's courtesy of The Ringer. We talked about the Sabres already. And one more thing I wanted to discuss. Minnesota's Carson Soucy will have a hearing today for charging Arizona's Connor Garland. That was not a pretty scene yesterday in that game. So we'll see how this hearing will go about. Now I'm going to talk a little bit of Masked Singer. Season 5, Episode 2. We will see Group B tonight. I don't know exactly which costumes are a part of that group. I wonder if it's going to be like Grandpa Monster in that group. We'll see. That's our third rendition of the monster costume. Last week we saw Group A. The Russian dolls, the snail, the seashell, the raccoon, and the porcupine, who likes to be called Robopine. Initially, we thought it was a Russian doll, and it turned out to be Russian dolls. They sang Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson. There are hints about cold weather, Garden State Highway, and the train. A cup of milk in there as well. Jenny McCarthy said the duo from Lady Antebellum. Nicole Scherzinger went with Matthew Morrison and Kevin McHale. And she also threw out Vanessa Hudgens and Darren Criss. And Ken Jeong went with Gwen Stefani and Tom Dumont. The Snail performed You Make My Dreams Come True by Hall & Oates. His entrance clue is a national treasure. He said that he's done slot machines. There's a UFO hint, drawings, a teddy bear, meatballs. Robin Thicke said Jay Leno and Seth MacFarlane. Nicole Scherzinger threw out Jimmy Kimmel and Adam Sandler. Jenny McCarthy Wahlberg said Mark Wahlberg. I'm seeing Mark Wahlberg in front of me and thinking Jenny Wahlberg because that's actually her married name. Because she's obviously married to Donnie Wahlberg. The seashell's entrance clue was no two shells are the same. There's a hot dog, a castle, a chameleon. She had success ASAP. There's a broom and a hat. And she said she hasn't sang in a while. She sang Listen to Your Heart by Roxette. Ken Jeong suggested Sarah Jessica Parker, Anna Hathaway, Kristen Chenoweth. Nicole said Hillary Duff. Jenny McCarthy said Jessica Simpson. And Robin said Jennifer Love Hewitt. I think this could be Kelly Rowland. It's not my first impression guess, but there's hints about her having success ASAP, and then she went downhill, and that was Kelly Rowland's path. The raccoon had a raspy voice. He performed Wild Things by the Throgs. By the way, his entrance clue was known for being sharp. He said he had dark days, hinted about being in jail. He liked The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Nicole said Gary Busey. Ken said Mike Tyson, and Robin Thicke went with Danny DeVito and Joe Pesci. My first impression guess I'm not giving away. RoboPine's entrance clue was proud of not becoming a roadkill. He hinted about being on a mission. There's a 411. Is that an area code? There's a phone in there. He said he had a phone call that changed his life, and he's poised for a next mission. He's saying Never Too Much by Luther Vandross. It actually sounded like Luther Vandross, amazingly enough, but I don't think it's him. I have a guess for this. It's not my first impression guess, but I have a guess. Stevie Wonder, because he hinted about having grandchildren and saying that he's been around a long time. Nicole Scherzinger went with Jamie Foxx and had to pay the price for it because Nick Cannon gave a box to Wendy Williams to give to the panelists. That if the panelists had guessed Jamie Foxx, Bjork, Lindsay Lohan, and Johnny Knoxville, then they have to pay the price. And obviously, Robin always guessed Lindsay Lohan, Ken always guessed Bjork, Nicole always guessed Jamie Foxx, and Jenny would always say Johnny Knoxville. That's why they have to pay the price if one of those four names are mentioned. Robin went with Jamie Wine, and Ken Jeong went with Lionel Richie, and the snail went home. My first impression guess was Lionel Richie, and my final guess was Ridiculous of Dr. Phil because it sounded like an old person that was a talk show host. Robin Thicke's first impression was Seth MacFarlane, and he kept it. Ken Jeong's first impression was Jay Leno, and he kept it. Jenny McCarthy's first impression was Adam Carolla. She guessed Ted Cruz. And Nicole's first impression guess was Adam Carolla, and she guessed Billy Crystal as her final. And who was it? None other than Kermit the Frog. A huge surprise to kick off the season, and arguably the most famous person or thing that the Masked Singer's ever had. Obviously, Kermit the Frog's been around a long time. He's indeed a natural treasure. And I'm sure for him that it wasn't easy being a snail. And for sure for him, I know it ain't easy being green. And I thought it was very cute of him at the end to say that he would never hear the end of it from Miss Piggy. So Kermit the Frog was the first unmasked this season. And we'll see who the new contestants are tonight and who indeed gets unmasked. And we'll talk about it all on the podcast tomorrow. And last but not least, my best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. This is a hard call for best bet. There's some games that I like and some others that I don't. I'm going to go with the NIT, and I'm going to take the over 141 in Drake, Wichita State. Or I'm sorry, that's the first four for tomorrow. Never mind. I don't know if I'm actually going to take that over. I'm going to take the over 125 in Western Kentucky, St. Mary's. 1 unit on it. I just think that's very low at 125. I know that these two teams are defensive-minded, but I think Western Kentucky could score a little bit, so I'm going to go over 125 between Western Kentucky and St. Mary's for my best bet. So there you have it for the show today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping NBA, NHL, Mlb Spring Training. Look ahead to tomorrow. recapping NIT, looking ahead to tomorrow's NIT and first four. Masked Singer will recap episode 2 of season 5 and the latest news and notes I'll have for you as well. And maybe I'll do some golf as well as the PGA Tour will be headed to the Honda Classic at the PGA National Resort and Spa in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. And the tee times begin at 7:25 tomorrow, so I'll give you guys a pick on the podcast tomorrow for the Honda Classic. So I hope you guys have a great day, everybody.